Okay. Welcome back, IU fans, to a special edition of the IU Report tonight. My name's Grant Shouse. Mike Hutsell's here. Michelle Garmon, who is going to be playing substitute with us here this weekend, is on with us for our preview as we get ready for Indiana and Penn State on Saturday. And guys, every game, the stakes are mounting more and more each game, and this one has a lot at stake, of course. Trying to go 10-0 in back-to-back seasons for the first time, I would think, ever. And Indiana has never won at Penn State. Saturday's their first opportunity to do so, Mike.
That's the most important thing to me. Let's just get on the board there. You could technically say they beat them in a game that Joe Paw had taken away, but then they managed to get those back. So, yeah, let's get on the board. Let's keep this thing going, and let's roll into the most winnable final two games of the season, maybe ever, for Indiana. So, yeah, let's put one on the board. Let's continue to make history. Let's get that first win in Central Pennsylvania.
I agree. I've been watching a lot of those videos on YouTube where, like, they set up a sting operation for, like, child predators and stuff because I hate Penn State and it's Penn State hate week. So I thought I'd watch a lot of those to really get my mindset and focus for this game on Saturday. The thing is with Penn State is that they still have the same athletes, the same players, minus their quarterback, that they had at the beginning of the year when they were preseason top 5 team, which is still very not concerning, but still a little like, hey, like, can't sleepwalk through this game. So Indiana's going to have to be ready to play, and having played in an environment like Kinnick Stadium, especially Autzen Stadium, where it's really hard to go out there and win, and Indiana has done it twice all time against Oregon. And to go out there and win those games and now have to come back and play Penn State in Happy Valley, those games help prepare you for this game. And I like Indiana's chances, but again, it's one of those games you can't sleepwalk through this week, Michelle.
No, you can't. It's funny because when I looked at the schedule early on in the season, and once IU started and they were rolling, and we saw how good the defense was and how much improved the line was and how good Mendoza's been, just looking at it, I was like, okay, we go to Iowa, we go to Oregon, we go to Penn State. IU needs to win. We need to win 2 of the 3 to be playing for the Big Ten championship or have a shot at it. And it's so funny because of the 3 places, I think Happy Valley concerned me the most. I'm still a little bit concerned, just because a little bit of history and everything, but I really, really like this IU team. And I think part of my concern is too, I'm not really sure how healthy Surratt is, and how healthy EJ Williams is. And if you take away 2 of those 3 dynamic receivers, I think it hurts the offense a little bit. The depth at linebacker, is Fisher going to be able to go, and he's going to be able to play 90% of the game? I don't know what Turner's stat is. So that's what makes this trip, I think, concerning, because I do think the next 2 games are wins. It's going to be senior day for Wisconsin, and then you've got the bucket game with Purdue. And make no mistake, Kurt Cignetti may not be from Indiana, but I do have a feeling he has made himself very familiar with rivalries, and he knows how to motivate kids to play in rivalries. Look at last year. So this game concerns me for that, because Penn State does have some really good players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I think this is I think it's amazing to me, Mike, and maybe to you, probably really to me, because I've been following the Hoosiers since I was young in the 70s. And so to actually sit there and think, hey, Indiana's got a chance to go, 11, 12-0 in the regular season, play for the Big Ten championship is amazing to me. And possibly play for the national championship a month later.
We're into year 2 of this with Cignetti. We went to the playoff last year, and yet it still just baffles me to go into Penn State week, a multi-touchdown favorite, and seeing memes of Penn State fans saying, oh God, it's Indiana week, and it's a video of someone pouring vodka into like a really, really, really large cup because they know that they're going to have to drink this weekend because Penn State is worried about playing Indiana, and it cracks me up. Now, going back to this game itself, in some ways, this game reminds me a little bit of Michigan last year, where people were very, very confident that they were going to win, but people kind of overlooked the fact that Michigan had pros on both lines. They had pros on the O-line, pros on the D-line. And Indiana really, really struggled with that physicality in that game, especially from the defensive line. This offensive line this year has been phenomenal. It's played great football. But Penn State's got pros on the D-line. And I don't think they're going to be able to overwhelm them defensively the way they did like a Maryland or a UCLA, where they just kind of buried them, turned them into dust, did whatever they wanted to do. Michigan State was never going to stop Indiana in that game, and they didn't. UCLA, same thing. And then last week, once they got stabilized, it seemed like they had a little shaky start, but Maryland, they just ran right over Maryland. And with the receivers being hurt, Penn State may be able to key in a little bit more on the run game. And if Indiana isn't able to convert passes, that's a little concerning. So I don't take this game lightly by any stretch, just because I know the athletes and I know the talent that Penn State puts on the football field.
And I know with injuries here is that I haven't heard quite yet if Curt Cignetti gave an update in his radio show tonight. But the good sign was coming into the week is that he did say they didn't leave Maryland with anything that they would consider significant, which I guess is a good sign. I think more Fisher being out last week may have been for a precautionary, or you don't want to tweak that knee anymore. Surratt has been dealing with a hamstring injury here as of late. Like the last few weeks, it's been bothering him, and I think finally just kind of went down, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure I want to go back in the rest of this game. And injuries, Indiana almost like, especially last week with injuries, you almost kind of walked away from that Maryland game being like, man, like you kind of wish they had the bye week this week or this coming week, like after the Penn State game instead of after the Wisconsin game. You want to be able to be healthy coming down the stretch when everybody's going to need to be available to try and go win a championship, which, just like you guys were saying a minute ago, Indiana football and championship in the same sentence is just absurd. We've been saying it all year. And if Curt Cignetti can stabilize this and keep this a regular thing every year, for us as fans, when does it just become the expectation every year? We've lived through the pain and the sorrows of years of bad football. And if he can get this to where it's consistent every year, at what point does it become just kind of, we kind of expect to go play Iowa at Iowa and beat them, or play Penn State at Penn State and beat them like a drum? And it's crazy to think about. It seems like every week we walk away from a game saying this was more unbelievable than what was unbelievable last week. And hopefully we're saying that again in a positive way on Saturday.
If you ever lived through the Cam Cameron days and especially the Jerry DiNardo era, and if you watched Bill Lynch football, tossing his gum on the sideline because he didn't like a call, if you had to sit through the 3-9 Tom Allen debacle of singing in the locker room after a triple overtime win over a MAC team, I hope to God that we're bored by an 8-4 season.
I agree, Mike.
The day DiNardo was announced, I just remember just going off into a tirade. I wish I could find the newspaper column I wrote that day, because I was younger and I wasn't afraid to speak my mind, and I let it be known. And I have never been more right about anything in my life.
That wasn't a particularly good hire. And Cam Cameron, I think, would have been fine all these years maybe as an offensive coordinator. He was not a head coach.
No. And it was evident. Grant, and I've told Grant this before, and you can agree with me, there was no experience in college football like watching Antoine Randall L play college football. He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. He was he wasn't quite big enough to play quarterback in the NFL. But that guy did things on the field that was video game like. And he played 4 years in Bloomington. 3. I think he may have had an academic year. Never made a bowl game.
Unreal.
Best player maybe in the history of the program, never saw a bowl game.
Yeah.
Sad.
And that's happened a lot at IU. I mean, Tevin, the running back a few years ago, could have been a Heisman finalist Tevin Coleman. I don't want to mix him up with the pop singer again, so I'm just going to let you tell me which one he is. He could have been a Heisman finalist his last year at IU. Legitimately could have been in New York. Never made a bowl game. So Cignetti can do this for as long as he wants. Again, I will not complain about an 8-4 season ever in my life.
Me either.
Oh, I won't either.
I want to kind of piggyback off that there. I've been thinking about this, and like watching a guy as recent as Brendan Sorsby. I think if he was in Curt Cignetti's system under his development, I think he'd have the chance to be a really, really good quarterback.
I don't disagree with you. And the unfortunate thing there is he was negotiating NIL deals before he was even out of town, from everything you read and everything you hear. If he had stuck around, he could have done what Rourke did last year. He could have a season like Mendoza's, and he's not having a bad year whatsoever at Cincinnati. They've been one of the surprise teams of college football, but
because he wasn't even bad at Indiana.
No, he wasn't. His mix of running the ball and passing, he could be just lethal in this offense. And the same thing with Donovan McCulley, who went to Michigan's top receiver, transferred out of Indiana because he was 4th string. Think about that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Guys, you got a final score prediction for Saturday? We'll start with Mike.
I'll go Indiana 31, Penn State 21. Ethan Grunkmeyer, the quarterback for Penn State, he's a freshman. We've seen what Brent Haynes can do to freshman quarterbacks. Just look at what he did to the kid from Maryland last week. I don't think scoring is going to be as easy as it has been for Indiana with the defense they're going to be facing, but I'm confident that the Indiana defense can limit Penn State and create some turnovers, and they're going to go in there and get the historic win for the program for the first time in Pennsylvania.
What's they're favored by what?
Last I saw, I think it was at 14.5 or 15 maybe. I'll have to double check.
I think they can cover. I think they're 10 to 14 point winners. Now, I say that if Surratt is really healthy and they go in healthy, it could be bigger than that. But I do think that I don't see it being much bigger than 2 touchdowns at the most.
14.5 right now, according to my book. And again, that's a 30-point flip from the preseason, because this was, if you could have bet this earlier this year at Penn State minus 15, now it's Indiana minus 14.5.
I will take Indiana to win this game on Saturday 31-17. Give me the Hoosiers.
No, I'll just say 31-19 then, since Mike said 31-21 and Grant says 31-17. I'll just say 31-19 and cut down the middle.
Greg's telling way too. He's the guy who bids $1 over you on The Price is Right.
Right.
You want to punch, and you want to punch in the face.
Thanks, guys.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.